Hi, my name is Ava Goodin. I'm at Northwestern University and I'm on the women's soccer team here. The best advice I've gotten from my mentors and coaches is to continue to invest in those around me. I've learned investing in myself is very important, and I especially in that transition into college. That initial journey to get here can feel very, I would say, individualistic at times, where it's about you getting to this next level. But once you get here and you're surrounded by people who are at the same level as you, playing for a bigger purpose, I've learned trying to cast as many people into your net as possible, especially on this journey to hopefully reach a higher level for me in terms of professional, in terms of winning an NCAA championship. All of those goals, you're only going to accomplish them by bringing people with you on this journey. And that's something my coaches have continued to pound into me is it's very important to have big goals yourself, but making sure you're bringing as many people into that circle as well. Yeah, for me, it's just consistency and discipline, which can sound very broad, but I've learned as a youth player and now bringing it to the college level that consistency is by far the most important thing, where it's better to invest in yourself every single day, even if it's just for 10 to 20 minutes at a time, rather than putting big blocks of time, big chunks of time at random times where they might seem bigger. But over time, I feel like investing in yourself consistently is going to be the best thing to reap results and see the improvement you want on and off the field. Yeah, kind of in the same boat. I think a lot of it is still consistency and discipline and making the small incremental choices that build up to big results over time. So I really just try to do the small things well and stay consistent with things like my nutrition, eating mostly clean, whole foods, kind of following the 80-20 rule where I'm not trying to completely overdo it and burn myself out with staying intensely attached to a certain regimen, I guess, but trying to make overall healthy, good choices for my lifestyle. And like I said, staying consistent with nutrition, things like sleep, trying to move my body throughout the day, even on recovery days, like not pounding my body and doing a hard workout, but trying to listen to how it's feeling and still trying to move it around and just doing small things every day that will lead up to big results over time. My biggest challenge, I think, to get here and something I still struggle with is most of the mental aspects when it comes to playing and competing at the highest level, especially when I'm at the point I'm at now. Everyone works hard. Everyone does most of the small things right, and the margins between being good and great get smaller and smaller as you climb up that ladder. So I'm at a point where I'm just trying to focus on my own journey and continuing to do everything I can to be successful, try to bring as many people into that circle as well and lift others up and not get overly caught up in comparing my journey to other people's because everyone looks different in their process, has different goals, has different things that work for them. And I struggle with that mental aspect of comparison and am I doing enough? Are they doing more than me? So I'm at a point where I really just try to focus on my individual journey, doing what's best for me, whether that's doing more or less on a given day. And just I could just continue to focus on building that mental muscle just like I would physically as well. So yeah. I may not have mentioned this earlier actually, but I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. And coming from the South, I was really caught up in I'm going somewhere close to home. I'm going where it's warm, where the weather's great, close to family, just staying with what I was comfortable with. But as my process went on, I remember Northwestern was a school I was honestly not the most interested in at first. Obviously, it's an amazing school, but in terms of distance from family and just being in a new place that I wasn't familiar with, I wasn't feeling a great pull at first. But once I opened my mind more, came on campus, met the coaches, interacted with the staff and the team, and really got to see the full picture of what this school had to offer. That was when I was like, wow, thank God my dad made me email this school and go on campus because I would have missed out on such a great opportunity and probably would have missed going to the place where I feel like I was meant to be. So I was glad that I learned to have an open mind throughout the process and be willing to try new experiences, even if I may not have been open to those at first. So yeah. I think for me in my recruiting process, I'm naturally not the most outgoing person. I sometimes have to push myself in order to interact with others, just because I'm just naturally more reserved, and that's okay. But I know in situations like when I'm being recruited, it's going to benefit me and others the most if I put the effort in to interact and let others get to know me, and in turn I'll get to know them. And personality-wise, just really getting a feel for each school, the staff, the team. For me, like culture was one of the top things coming into this program, because there are a lot of things that can change and be adjusted once you get to a program. But knowing the culture of what you're going into, I think, is arguably the most important and will not just be the determinant of success, but also just your overall happiness on the field, just belonging into that team culture. So continuing to push yourself to interact with as many people as possible, put yourself in uncomfortable situations where you're going to be talking to people who you may not know. You may have to make that first, "Hi, I'm so-and-so," but pushing yourself to have those uncomfortable interactions in your recruiting process and allowing others to get to know you, and you going out of your way to get to know others as much as possible will, I think, benefit you a lot in the long run. Well, that answer changed a lot through my recruiting process into why do I want to play, where do I want to play. Like I said, at first, Northwestern was not where I was naturally pulled to, just wanting to stay comfortable by my home, by my family, being worried that I wouldn't be able to recreate that feeling of home in a new place. But like I said earlier, like once coming to Northwestern and getting to experience not just the facilities, the city, and the students here, but really getting a feel for the culture of the team, the staff, the coaches, and just the overall athletic community here, was something that was essentially incomparable to any other school that I visited in my recruiting process. And I never would have thought coming this far up north to Chicago, it would feel like home, but that was really the only way to put it, is coming here on my official, being here in person was the most at home I'd felt out of all the places I went to. So I just think like the special quality of Northwestern being able to create that feeling of home, especially from an academic standpoint, that was very intimidating coming here. I am a good student, but also just knowing like the reputation the school has and being unsure of whether I could handle that as a student athlete. And this school has given me the security to know that whatever my endeavors are, athletically, academically, that I'll have the support behind me to back it up and continue to cultivate that at-home feeling over these 4 years. For me, I kind of touched on this earlier, where at this level, the margin between being a good and a great player, it just continues to get smaller and smaller as you climb that ladder of reaching a higher and higher level. And I'm at the point where just finding small things in my day-to-day routine and doing small things that add up to big results over time has proven to be the most beneficial for me. And I also said this earlier, but that game of comparison between you and the person next to you, I think when you're in an athletic environment as a female specifically, competitiveness is so important and so essential to pushing yourself and those around you. But I think as a female, at times that competitiveness between women can turn toxic and feel like it's me against her, especially in a team environment. And I think continuing to work on that aspect of, yes, it's me against her, but it's for a bigger purpose, and we're doing me against her because we're working toward a bigger goal in an iron sharpens iron environment. That's the way that me and her are going to reach those goals, is by at times it may feel like me against her, even though in the long run it's really me and her together trying to reach this bigger goal. Yeah. As a freshman coming in as the fall, that was my biggest point of contention, is being like, wow, like how am I going to continue to strive for such big athletic goals when now academically there's arguably just as high of a standard I need to maintain. Honestly, through the fall, it was a lot of trial and error of just figuring out what worked, especially in terms of a time management schedule. And I had to give and take at times with like my social life, academics, athletically. At times, things are gonna give. And I think being able to find times like the fall, okay, I know now I'm gonna have to put more into my athletic and my academics, and stuff like socially might have to take a bit of a hit. And now that I'm in the winter, I can more try to add the social aspects back in. But I think it's being able to acknowledge that it's impossible to put everything in one basket. And that's something I've learned the hard way, is trying to do everything all at once. And that can lead to just burnout, feeling overwhelmed, ended up failing more overall in all those areas. Rather than being able, I think, to be mature enough to say no to things, be like, no, I can't do this right now, or no, this is going to have to take a hit for right now. But I know in the future I can reinvest in this area of my life. But I think especially when you have big goals and do want to reach levels of playing professionally, reaching that big career that's in a really competitive environment, I think it's being able to recognize that things are gonna have to give, and it can be hard to make those choices in the moment. But I think when you, like I said, when you do have big goals, sacrifices are gonna have to be made, and it's being able to recognize when things do need to be sacrificed. So I think if I had to tell myself, my younger self, one piece of advice, um, I would tell her that yes, the place you end up is so important, but it's also what you make of that place. And you can't rely on just the place giving everything you want. I think no matter where you are, especially in the college environment, I do feel like at Northwestern, I am where I belong. But I think there's also just so many good choices, especially now in this current college environment where just women's athletics in general is so competitive and is getting so well-rounded in terms of like, no, it's not just this school that's the best. Like there's so many good schools now, which I don't think is a bad thing at all. Because like I said, I think it gets really caught up into being like, no, I need to feel like this is the place the moment I step on campus, like this is where I belong. And I think for me, that feeling came over time where I made my decision to come here and I'm like, this feels really right to me. But it's only once I came here and really lived out the lifestyle of being a Northwestern student athlete, and really invested in my own experience and not just expected everything to be handed to me and to be perfect as soon as I got here. Um, so like I said, I think if I was talking to myself, I would tell her not to be so stressed about where I end up, even though that is a monumental decision. But I often don't think there's one right answer. I think there can be many right answers, and it's more of what you make of those opportunities. I'm Ava Goodin. I go to Northwestern University. I'm on the women's soccer team, and you can check me out on Next Level Prep.